Hello guys, this is Avcoor, and I want to make a tier list for classes. The reason I'm doing this is people don't understand why I value certain classes over other classes. And, and this is very important if you play Archeland and if you plan to play for a time longer than a month or 3 months, because you want to invest your resources into the classes that get the most out of it. And I'm here to help you with that. So we go S through D, and I hate to say it, but we're going to have to put a class in D tier. It's not because it's a bad class, it's just there's other classes that are just doing more than this class, and we have to start with Archer. Excuse me. The reason why Archer is D tier because I know for a fact that you can clear almost all of the content. You can clear all of the content in Archeland and not have any SSR Archer ever. In fact, the only reason I use Brownie is because he's cheap. There is one Archer that I would consider building. Two. There's two. There's two. There's two. Um, Three, if you consider PvP, there's three. Silver for PvP. Uh, Krill for PvP. But for PvE, there's only one Archer you really want to have, and that's Erica von Bismarck. And you don't really need Erica von Bismarck, but she makes PvE content a lot easier. But there are other DPSs that if you build them, they can do the job just fine. And in fact, there's really no really immediate reason to build an archer. If you do not build the archer tree in academy, you're not losing much. So we have to put them in D tier because outside of DPS, I mean, there's not much they're doing. They're not adding. They don't do as much support as the other classes do. There there are classes in the other five that actually do more support than Archer. So we have to put them in D tier. If you want to argue this point, you can, but it'll be hard. So there's actually a class that will go into C tier, and that is Ranger, Rogue, or Assassin. This class is I like her better. Um, this class is good. There are certain maps that have the extra turn that you could use, and you can use that, or you can choose not to. And if you choose not to, you can put this class basically into D tier. In PvE content, there's one outstanding assassin, and that's Seminar. But she can do both. She can do PvP and PvE. But outside of Seminar, there's not really a really good assassin that you would waste your resources on. I like Zilvanef's design. I think she's great, but if I had a choice, I actually build Peacock over Zilvanef because you get more out of Peacock because of her class. There, there's just better bonuses for the other four classes as opposed to these two classes, and that's why I really don't see a point of investing heavily into this class. If you don't use these two classes, you're not missing out on much. I'm sorry, I hate to say that, but it is what it is. So there is a class that will go into B tier, if you believe it or not. Wizard is B tier. They're a great class, but I have cleared like 80% of the content in Archland, and I never used a wizard because I never had to. Only at in game. At in game do wizards become vital because in Ominous Dream and certain levels, you can only deal magic damage, and that actually makes them important. But if you want to clear content in this game, and if you want to rely on classes that can effectively help you clear content that are necessary for you to clear content, then the other three classes are more important than these three classes. Wizards are important, just not as important as the top three classes. They're just not. And I'm not going to waste my time and try to overhype wizards. I have cleared 80% of the content in this game, and I didn't use wizards, I didn't use archers, and I didn't use assassins. I didn't use any of them. The only content I actually used them in is academy, and that was just to get the clears, but I always had the other classes there to make sure if things go wrong that I had backup. So wizards good, but they're just not as good as the top three classes. They're not. So A tier actually has two classes in A tier, and that is the tank and the healer class. Both of these classes are super important as you as when you play this game, you will see that the tank healer combination will actually help you survive in long-term battles. Excuse me, in short-term battles as well. Tanks, if well built, can actually do like moderate DPS. The same goes for healers. Healers, if built properly, can do moderate DPS. So it takes a little bit of the pressure off of your main DPS. Even though they're in A tier, don't think that these two classes are not necessary. It's just the one class is so broken that it will have to have its own tier list, its own section in the tier list, and that's just the way it is. If you play this game, you'll absolutely have to have a tank and a healer. The B, C, and D classes, you can actually get away with it. I've cleared literally 80% of this content without wizards, without assassins or archers, and you cannot clear any content in this game without a healer and without a tank. The thing about tanks that puts them a little lower than healers is the amount of resources that you have to put into a tank in order to get the same output in a healer is huge, because you're asking the tank to take damage, and they need like high level armor, high level weapons, because weapons in this game give you HP, so you need high level weapons, high level helms, and high level accessory, because HP is the threshold by which a tank lives or dies. And if you don't have that, your tank's not going to survive, and you're better off not having a tank. Healers actually have to have the right equipment sets. It doesn't have to be high level, but you have to have equipment that increases healing. You have to have runes that increases healing. And without those things, you're going to find your healing output to be too low, and you cannot sustain your tank or your DPS, and the team falls apart. So when you build these classes, keep that in mind, that there are certain equipment requirements for these classes that you have to meet. There's certain rune requirements for these classes you have to meet. Especially for tanks, their traits have to be maxed out for better or worse. You do not want to have two trait lines on a tank that you consistently use in combat. That's why I think that people overlook the fact that Ballet actually gets her unlocked for free, and that's what separates her as a tank to me from other tanks, is the fact that she is so cheaply built. You get her ranks for free, and you get her traits for free. And if you do the right missions, and if you spend your money wisely, you can get her equipment for free. So you have to consider that when you build a tank, that the resources that goes into a tank is huge. The resources that go into a healer is moderate, but it's just specified. There are times where I have used healers with only two trait lines, and the only problem I run into is the fact that they do not survive hits. Their healing output is on point, but they do not survive hits, and that is the only problem with that class. So, the best class in the game has to be warrior. I have said this time after time after time. Warriors are the most broken class in the game. If you look at the PvP tier list, some of the strongest units are warriors. If you look at my PvE tier list, the new one I'll come out in a couple of weeks, you will see that warriors top out the list to the point where Peacock actually is going to rise because of it. Because warriors are just so broken. First of all, warriors have the highest damage output of any class in the game. Even over wizards, their damage output and modifiers are high because there are three things that warriors do in this game that synergize really well. First, they hit hard. Two, they hit the best warriors hit multiple times. Even Peacock hits more than once with certain skills. And third, they actually have sustain, as a lot of their kits are built to have sustain in them, such as Sighart, such as Charlotte, such as Sanakin, such as Peacock, such as Lancelot. And even William has a little bit of sustain in his kit, and even William hits more than once. Warriors are the best DPS in the game, and it's not even close. You ask a warrior to kill stuff, and they kill stuff. You ask a warrior to survive and kill stuff, and they do that. You ask a warrior to have extra move to reach the target and kill them, they do. So the second video, another video that I'm going to come out with explains that there is a process that this guy from China came up with, that maybe he was Korean, I'll have to check, that he said that if you invest in 3 warriors, 1 tank, and 1 healer, you can at least clear 50% of the game, and that has been proven to be true, and that's why I ranked this class so high. So if you need to know what classes you need to build, just check out this tier list and it'll answer all the questions for you. But anyways, if you like my content, hit the like, share, subscribe button. I'll get back to you. Have a great day, and goodbye.